Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we are here for ORL round number, I have no idea, but anyway, we are here in Bahrain short actually. So yeah, this league does the short circuits. So and because the laps are quite short, this race has been extended to 100% race distance, meaning that we'll be doing 57 laps. I believe it's 57, and a lap is just under a minute, so yeah, it's going to take a while, but I thought I'd just do this for fun, you know, and see what we can do. So yeah, coming into it then, the pace was fairly decent. Obviously, for this league, we're not going to practice as much as we would for something like PSGL, let's say. Um, but yeah, after our first lap, as you can see, we are only in P7, but the good thing about this track is you can do 2 push laps, one after another. So we're going to go again, and we're going to further improve. But still, only enough for P5 so far. So as you can tell, we haven't got, you know, extremely good pace. I know Alessio De Capua, who races in this league regularly as a main driver. He was very fast. And Jarno, of course, as per usual. So them two are going to be the main two to beat. And then, of course, you have the fast drivers like Daniel Haddad, Felipe, Caraton, Donoso. So yeah, as I've said in previous videos, this league is just as tough. Really similar in terms of skill to PSGL. So yeah, it is quite hard to get up there. But yeah, P5 for now. But we'll see what we can do later on in the session. So skipping all the way on to our final run then. As you can see, we are up on our time. We're currently in P6, so we definitely need to make some more improvements. And we're about 10th up right now. Pole is, I think, around 57.4, so we're not too far off. And yeah, right now we're on a pretty decent lap. I think with the final corner, that's quite good. We can get right into top positions, maybe even P1. But coming into the final corner, as you can see, we take a bit too much curb, and we start losing time on the exit.
Oh, the last corner was chalked.
And we come up to the line, and it's only P4. About half a tenth off pole, as you can see. If it weren't for that last corner, then you never know. As you can see, we do a pretty poor last sector. But yeah, going to be starting P4 for this race then.
Which one for pole?
Alessio De Capua, pole position. Jarno P2, and Alvaro Caraton P3. So, coming on to the race now then, or should I, the formation lap I should say. Just see if you can notice anything strange here. I'll leave you to it.
Right, come on, Josh. This is your race.
Wait,
57 laps, man.
where my hands? No. Where are my hands?
You got the hand.
My hands are gone.
You got the hand.
My driver's gone. My driver's gone. Where is he?
What? Is he just not there?
So, as you can see,
Wait,
interesting glitch there that I've not had before. There's actually no driver in my car at all. I've had a hand glitch where there's no hands, but
Thing again,
I've actually lost the whole driver, so but I was just interested in put that in there. But anyway, now we got to focus up for the actual race.
driver's missing.
So now finally, the 5 red lights are on for the ORL Bahrain Grand Prix. And the lights are underway. We get a pretty, as you see the helmet flying past us there, we get a pretty average start actually. And I think that's Fabrizio Donoso going round out outside into turn 1. So down to P5 for now, but we still have our front wing, which is the main thing. And now we're just going to settle in, as we always do in these races, in the train. Jarno going to the lead with Alessio De Capua into P2. Alvaro Caraton stays P3, and we have dropped back down to P5. So, yeah, with this track then, interesting thing to note is the pit stops. You can do a 1-stop onto hards if you pit maybe like lap 12 or something like that. You can do the 1-stop onto mediums, but you have to pit lap 20 or later, pretty much, if you want to comfortably get to the end. And, well, you will see where we get into a little bit of a situation later on into the race. So, yeah, strategy is going to be an interesting one. 2-stop is also an option.
There's a bunch of helmets on the...
Go in soft, medium, soft.
Happened to everyone?
So yeah, that's also on the table, but we'll see. But now we just got to sell into this train, save ERS, save tyres, fuel, and yeah, we'll go from there. So moving on into lap 8 of the race then, as you can see there's a little bit of a gap between me and Fabrizio, and we missed the apex to go into the final corner, and we've got a really bad run. And now this opens up an opportunity to Daniele Haddad
Calling an early undercut.
behind us, as my engineer says, to go for an undercut. So yeah, now Haddad's going to go for the move. He's going to go down the inside. He's going to brake super late and coming into turn 1. Yeah.
R.I.P.
So with that mistake then, that is Haddad pretty much out of contention for this race. And now we move on. At least that's a bit less pressure from behind. So now we move on.
Like, because he's starting his DRS to get past me. And I see him go to the inside, I'm like, he's going to brake really late, isn't he?
As we say there. You could kind of see it happening because of the amount of speed that you would have taken. Especially using all the ZRS. You would have broken a bit later, and then adding that together, yeah, that was bound to happen. So yeah, moving on then, on to lap 12. Fabrizio Donoso comes into the pits, and at this time I wasn't aware that the 2-stop was even fast at all. So I thought he was just going maybe for a 1-stop pitting on this lap, but I was later to find out this was pretty much impossible.
Are they going for a mega undercut or just onto hards?
Or that was the other option. They were going to go on to hards and go to the end.
Mediums.
So my engineer tells me he goes on to the mediums then. And so that confirms then pretty much that the 2-stop is viable. But we were still planning on doing the 1-stop. I think as well as everyone behind us.
Are they going to last, Dylan? Lap 12? I don't know.
So yeah, and we still think that the mediums can maybe go from lap 12, which well, they cannot. But I didn't know this at this point because, again, we didn't do race practice for this race, so I had no idea. But yeah, ideally you want to pit around lap 20, 21, maybe even 22. But you'll see that we pit quite a bit earlier. And it doesn't really turn out too great for us. So, coming on to lap 17, we see Alvaro peel into the pits, and we decide to follow him in. Remember where I said you wanted to pit ideally after lap 20, and we've pit end of lap 17, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens regarding tyre wear, whether we'll have to make another pit stop, whether we have to keep on going to the end. But I seen Caraton coming into the pits this lap, and it gave me a little bit of a confidence that the tyres can make it. I was assuming that everyone pitting at this point would be on a 1-stop, no matter the tyre. But yeah, we come back in P16. You can see Daniele Haddad behind us, quite a way back. But yeah, now we got to work to get back into the DRS at Caraton. Use up some ERS if we have to, because we really want to stay in that train of cars. But something to note as well is that obviously the guys ahead of us, Jarno and Alessio, still have to pit, and we're going to get an undercut on them. So they're going to come out somewhere near us, maybe a bit ahead of us, maybe a bit behind, depending on when they pit. But then we can use them, use their DRS if they're ahead of us, to get back into the train with Caraton and the others. So coming on to lap 21 then, if you can see a little bit ahead in the distance, that's Alessio de Capua coming out into the train side by side with Get Owned, I believe that is, who hasn't made a pit stop yet. But he slots in behind, and now this is good for me, as I said, because we have DRS on Alessio, and they're in a train which leads all the way up to Caraton. So, as I said earlier, it was kind of good for us that Alessio came out just ahead of us in the DRS, as he already gets past Get Owned on them old medium tyres. It's important for our race as well that we don't get stuck behind, that we don't stay behind Get Owned for too long on them old tyres, because through the corners, Alessio is going to be rapid, and he might break the second gap. So, yeah, we need to get past him as soon as possible and stay in that train. And actually, Jarno Otmi hasn't pit yet, so Jarno's stretching them soft tyres out. He's going to likely get undercutted by quite a bit as we get past Get Owned straight away. He's not going to fight that too hard. But yeah, Jarno Otmi is going longer, and he's going to go on to the mediums. He's going to be a bit far behind the rest of us. But that tyre advantage, especially towards the end, is going to be quite significant, and that's when Jarno is going to come alive. And he's even going to have, 2-lap fresher tyres than Alessio, or depending on when he pits. So, as long as he doesn't come out too far behind the rest of us, Jarno has a very good chance of winning this race. So jumping on all the way to lap 33 then, as you can see, Jarno is in our ERS, saving for a bit, even though he's on the fresher tyres, and now he's deciding to go for a move, and now he's got to get a move on. He has quite a few cars to pass. He has 3 cars to pass to get into the lead. Something to note, Fabrizio is on old mediums. If you remember, he pit lap 12, and I believe he's still on them tyres. He's yet to make his second stop. So once Jarno gets past him, we have to make sure that we get past him as well, because he's likely going to drop off the rest of the pack. Or hopefully he makes his pit stop around the time Jarno passes, so we are able to stick in the train. If you remember, me and Carton pit fairly early compared to Alessio and Jarno. So our pace at this point isn't going to be as great. So it's going to be important that we stick in the DRS, save our tyres a little bit, and ERS, and try and go for something towards the end. But as you can see, Jarno's already pulled a bit of a gap. You can tell that his pace is really good right now. And he's going to be looking to get past Fabrizio straight away. But he's not going to be able to do it this lap, because obviously in the train. But yeah, regarding pit stops, we have no plans of making another stop, as I said. I thought the lap that we pit was late enough that the tyres can make it to the end. But you'll see later on as we start to check tyre weigh, that may not be the case. So, moving on then. Lap 35.
Carton's pin again. There's no way I'm making it.
Carton's in the pits, as well as Fabrizio, who's already pitted. And at this point, I was getting kind of worried because we actually had no medium tyres left, which means we either have to go onto the softs, which will not make it to the end, and they're also used. Or we go onto the hards, which is a complete waste, considering how little laps there are left of this race. So we're in a kind of terrible situation, and to make things even worse, we've now dropped out of DRS of Jarno, and it's likely that we will not get it back due to that tyre difference. So we are in a pretty terrible spot right now. We could either go a few more laps and then pit onto softs, but then there's pretty much no point in doing that. There's no point going onto hards, because that's a complete waste. So we're going to have to risk it. Once again, we've done this quite a few times with the tyres, such as ORL Brazil, PSGL, Hungary.
Left, 39%.
So as you said there, 39%, 20 laps left. I'm getting about 2% a lap. So if you do the maths, we are going to be into the 80% range, or around there, as we make a mistake and get a warning there. That was pretty terrible. And this is the point where we realise we have no tyres, and we're in a pretty terrible spot. So at this point, the best we can do is just manage the tyres, because if we don't, then they're simply just going to blow. So Domi on the hard tyres has caught up because we were saving tyres, and we decided to let him go, and we're going to try and stick in his DRS. It's important that we do, because that will protect us from the soft runners for maybe a few laps. But now we are trying to manage the tyres a lot, so we have to be careful not to lose DRS to Domi. But this is just simply going to allow us to keep our time on the soft runners. They're going to catch us a little bit later. They're still probably going to catch us at some point, because the last few laps we are going to literally have to crawl around the track. But this should protect us for a little bit longer. We just got to make sure not to drop out by saving the tyres too much. So coming towards the end of lap 54, start of lap 55, as you can see, our tyres have massively dropped off. We are well out of a second of Domi, and the two soft runners have caught us, and this is going to be a double overtake. We are a sitting duck on this straight. There is nothing we can do.
Crash, crash.
Praying for a crash to help our race, because we're in a terrible spot. We still have 2 laps to go. The tyres feel absolutely awful. They're on the verge of a puncture, and we have Carton, and we also picked up a penalty. Don't ask about that one, but yeah, 74% with 2 laps to go. It's going to be really close. We are going to have to crawl around the track, because as you know, you can get punctures at any point from 75%, so, or maybe even less. So yeah, it's going to be a close one. We'll see what we can do. So, coming on to the final lap then. As you can see, obviously, our tyres have made it. But, there are two more soft runners right behind us. And Arox simply just goes for it. I was thinking, like, we should have maybe defended that position. But, he probably would have got us on this next corner anyway, because of how slow we were going. Because we both had a penalty. But, yeah, because of this penalty, we are going to drop out of the points. But the tyres actually did make it. Getting 79% in the end. But unfortunately, we are out of the points. As you can tell then, the pin for the one stop on lap 17 definitely was not the play.
The one stop on mediums, yeah, you had to go like...
Would have been better to go on hards or do the two stop. But I wasn't aware of that. But yeah. Jarno Otmia won the race with Alessio Di Capua in P2. And Domi takes P3. But yeah, that's it from me, guys.
P11.
So my engineer is not happy there.
Not my driver.
But yeah, we'll be back next round. I have no idea when what track that is. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's your fault for telling me to go for the undercut.
No.